Greetings, listeners. I'm your host this evening, Zach Barrett, and welcome to this Twisted Gear Studios production. You're about to listen to The Call, our Call of Cthulhu actual playcast GM'd by Derek Snow. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that during the recording of these episodes, one of our mics had a fault and some lower quality audio is present in this recording. Please pardon our rest. Until then, please enjoy.
The world of the 1920s is quite an interesting time, in dealing with the fallout of the Great War and its effects still being felt on the world as a whole. In the United States and Boston in particular, the introduction of prohibition and other such laws having quite the effect. There are still so many unexplored places though, and that's where the investigators come in. There's so many strange things occurring all over the world. From the depths of the oceans to unexplored places in the world, to Antarctica, to space even. The game takes place in May in the year 1923. The investigators have all been brought together by the enigmatic New England Center of Antiquities to track down one of their lost agents, Dr. Barnabus Jones, who was last seen in the small hamlet of Swills, Gullet, just outside of Boston. There are still so many unknowns.
So in this particular case, and for this game, we're going to start you all off on the road, heading west from Arkham to a small hamlet called Swills, Gullet. I love that name, Swills, Gullet.
Is that a real place? Is that an actual...
It is now.
Oh my.
Yes.
I'm from Swills, Gullet.
So,
that
and
sounds
the little
Swill.
Gullet.
And so, the issue being, and from what you've all been informed, is that they all sent you info about some weird happenings in and around said hamlet of Swills, Gullet.
Oh god.
And apparently there has been some disappearances of different people in the region. Nobody knows what has happened to them. So the New England Center of Antiquities actually contacted one of their agents in Boston by the name of Barnabus Jones. So he was contacted around a week prior to this to go check out what is happening with these people who are disappearing. Oh, and especially since this Swills Gullet, I just love saying it, is a...
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's just such a... It rolls off the tongue. It's a poor region, farmland, but at this point in time, farms in this region are doing not quite very well. So it's a fairly small hamlet of around 40 people, give or take. Ramshackle town, shanty town, whatever way you would like to put it. So the problem is, Barnabas has his own little consultants and stuff he collects together when he went and did work. So he apparently took some of these people with him and went to check it out. But he never checked back in. Nobody knows what happened. Apparently, there was a huge storm in the region the night before last. And nobody's been able to get in because of such a torrential downpour. And the road was pretty much washed out. Which was weird because the timeline for the game is it's May 15th, 1923. And it's quite an arid spring. Quite a dry spell has been going on in Boston and Arkham and these other places. And Swills Gullet is only a few miles to the west. But nobody in any other regions have seen a storm or anything of the sort. Everything is super dry. But that is something that they want you to go sort of find out what happened to their agent. What happened to the Mr. Barnabus Jones? And maybe try to track down why so many people have been going missing in the region. So we're going to start off the game with you in, of course, Althea's Packard Twin 6. Quite the fancy vehicle for the time.
Fancy but sturdy.
It's a nice automobile.
As you're heading along the road, heading toward Swills Gullet. I know I probably said that way too often already, but I'm sure.
But you had fun.
Yes, I had fun doing it, and that's what this is all
How-
about. My personal fun.
How long have we been in the car already?
You've only been in the car. You probably traveled from Boston, so it's been a couple hours.
And how long is it to go?
Apparently 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, sweet.
It's not that far. It's because the roads are so bad and vehicles at the time didn't have the speeds.
Right.
Have
Not
we
the big
started to notice any change in the surrounding landscape? So if we would we notice, I guess, the difference, a shift between a spot where the places where it hasn't rained in a long time to the place where it rained 2 days ago?
Well, at the moment, as you're traveling along the dusty road, and I say dusty because everything looks to be arid and dry. So to you, it would resemble sort of like a wasteland, a farmland gone arid, not being tended. There's been no rain as you're driving toward Swill's Gullet. It doesn't take very long, though, as you're driving for maybe just a couple of more minutes, and you can notice that it's getting quite dark. Now, this is, probably early afternoon. I would have left earlier in the day to get there during the day. But it's starting to look like it's getting dark out. And as you look up into the sky, you can see the black storm clouds and everything just off in the distance. But you would swear that even just a minute ago you did not see any in the horizon, as you hear the clapping of thunder way off in the distance.
Well, on the bright side, they're gonna get some rain for the farms.
This region certainly needs it. Although, that's quite an ominous cloud. I don't know that we want to be caught in it. How much further is it?
Roughly perhaps 15 minutes. Of course, that depends on whether or not it starts to rain on us before we arrive.
Can this vehicle not handle being caught in the rain?
And as you ask that question, you notice the rain start pelting off of the windshield. As the rain starts coming down
Language, sir.
quite hard.
I guess we're about to find out. I'll flick the wipers on. I'm going to need both hands on the wheel for this, no doubt. Hopefully we don't come across any washed out roads.
Cars had wipers back then?
Oh, I'm just going to get into that. As you flick the switch for the wipers, you do notice that no wipers turn on
Fantastic.
in this particular moment.
Was something meant to happen from that?
Apparently not. No, apparently not.
Oh.
I'm just going to concentrate very hard for a moment. Let me know if you see anything interesting, as unfortunately I don't think I'll be able to be looking out for it myself. Keeping us out of the ditches.
That would be preferred.
And as you, as Althea is staring intently on the road, and everyone else is probably looking out the windows and the windshield and looking out at this ominous storm. It's, like I said, the storm clouds have rolled in and it's gotten quite dark out. And you notice that it's quite hard to see off into the distance now, with all the rain coming down and everything else. But I would like for Althea, I would like for Agatha and Emos and Marion to all roll spot hidden checks for me, please. It seems Althea does not get this roll. She's way more focused on the road at the moment.
Yeah, the road is my spot hidden.
Nope.
If you roll higher, it is a fail.
Yeah, no.
61, I failed.
Okay, this is exactly how I like to start a game of Call of Cthulhu.
Oh,
Where everybody
dear.
fails?
Something
Oh,
has
God.
been missed. Wah, 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 wah.
What could it be?
As you continue on
I
down
have
the
this
road.
sneaky suspicion, ladies, that feel like we've just missed something. I light up a cigarette.
How can you tell? It's so dark.
I don't know. If I could actually see it, I probably would have mentioned it.
And, but I don't want to leave dear sweet Althea out of rolling dice. So you may as well go ahead and roll a drive auto skill for me.
Drive
Don't
auto.
crash the car. Don't crash the car. Don't
so
crash the car.
My drive auto is currently at a 40, so let's see if I can roll lower than 40.
I'm peering intently out the window now that you've said that.
That is definitely not lower than 40.
Do not crash the car.
Excellent.
That is
Excellent.
a 60.
Oh no.
So what happens is, as you're speeding along the country road, and the rain pouring down, there's a pothole, and I should say it's not. It's a dirt road. It's a hole. It's actually just a runoff
Just
hole.
a hole.
It's not a pothole. It's a runoff hole. That's just in front, and you do not manage to swerve out of the way, as I need you to roll me, let's say, a luck roll.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Luck?
He's far too happy about that.
I believe in you.
Okay, so my luck is 60.
Do it up.
That is a 70.
Oh.
Okay.
So every roll so far, we have failed. We are all gonna die.
Bad
all
luck
gonna
still
die.
counts as luck.
Hey, it may
Mother
be a
road.
lot harder to die if you don't actually arrive at the place where the weird things happen. That's how this game works. But the main issue
We
is,
crash and just head back to Salem and
Screw it, I'm
go for
walking back to
dinner.
Arkham. Peace.
So basically what happens is the front driver tire goes into this hole and does not come out of this hole, as it just slides in. Now, you aren't really going super fast, so I'm not really going to call for any checks or anything. You just come to a bit of an abrupt stop. A little bit of bruising as you're rattled around a little bit.
Drop my cigarette.
And as you're all just sort of looking at each other and you realize it's pouring down rain, tire is stuck in a hole, 10 to 15 minutes away from Swills' Gullet, what would you like to do?
Yeah, all right. I'll damn it. Okay, I'll throw on my hat and I'll kick
There's no
open the
need to
door.
blaspheme, sir.
I would.
We may be stuck, but there must be a way out.
The car wheel in the hole would dictate otherwise, madam. But I will go and see if I can winch
I
us out of
believe the
hole.
problem at hand right now is to see the damage that has happened to the car. I'll come and assist you, sir.
Yeah, all right, fine. Gets on out. It's pouring rain.
Mhm.
All right, I go to inspect the how bad
Well,
is it?
first off, as you both step out of the car...
Do we
And-
have? Sorry.
No, sorry.
Do we have any flashlights?
Yes, in the trunk.
Okay, I'm gonna go get
I
one
will
of
go
those.
there first.
Okay, so as the three of you then stepping out, that'd be the Agatha, Marion, and Amos?
Yeah.
Okay, so you all step out.
Amos.
It's
yeah.
Amos?
Yeah.
So A-M-O-S.
Yeah.
And I'll point out that Althea would probably have the trunk of this car very well stacked, considering that she is well traveled and has no doubt already been in some tough spots. Say, unlike when she's been on safari in Africa.
And also
Oh my.
because upon character creation, that was something that she spent money on.
Wow. The cleanliness of her trunk.
No, the
No.
well stocked it.
How stocked it is.
My trunk is.
When I
Flashlights.
open up this trunk, I
reindeer.
just stare for a couple of seconds.
There's
Wow.
torches. It's funny to say, but yes, there is actual torches.
Ooh.
There's a couple of lanterns. Flashlights.
There's
a ladder.
many questions I
Yeah.
want to ask right now, but I feel like we should
There's
probably
rope,
fix the car.
because of course you always need rope.
If you dig
Right.
around there enough, you'll probably find a jack. And I believe there might actually be 2 spare tires, depending on what kind of damage we have out there.
All right. Well, I'll grab the jack and I'll grab the flashlight because I don't know if I need to replace the tire, and I will go in with the flashlight and the jack, and I will go and take a look at the wheel.
Okay, the first thing you do notice is that as you're all walking, the three of you are walking outside, that it's quite muddy and you seem to be sinking somewhat into the mud, it's goopy, and as you're rising up, your boots or shoes seem to want to come out. But I mean, you managed to handle that quite well, and you go up and inspect the tire, and it seems like it's just stuck in a hole, so you could brute force try to push the vehicle out.
I got a winch. The car jack? The car jack, I should be able to lift it out of the hole, ideally, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Should be fine.
so you get down underneath
Yep.
into the deep mud, and you lay the jack,
I'm holding the flashlight for you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, miss.
and you lay the jack
Yep.
down in the mud, and start trying to raise up vehicle. But the problem is the mud. The jack keeps sinking instead of pushing. It needs a solid surface.
Is there a shovel in the back of the car?
There is.
Ooh.
All right, we're gonna dig ourselves a hole out.
We could either dig out of this hole in the road, or we could try laying the shovel and putting the jack on top of it, give it a larger surface for the jack to rest upon. Is it
Smartest
so
idea I've heard today.
or is it so mucky that the shovel would sink?
Could work.
I'd try it.
Okay,
Yeah, let's try it.
fair enough. I'll just get you to go ahead and roll me a luck roll.
Oh God.
I usually fall back on these luck rolls for these little tiny things.
That's a success. 41 out of 60.
The first success of the night.
Yay! I'm a hero.
As you manage to balance it to raise it up out of the muck, it will still require you to slightly push the vehicle once it's a bit more level.
Right.
So it will require a strength roll.
All right. So just get
The
ready
more
to go
people
here,
that help,
folks.
the better.
I will assist.
Same.
All right,
I'll
Alfie,
be-
if you just want to get ready to hit that little gas
To,
pedal once we
So
get
may
this
I
thing
ask,
up.
who has the highest strength of the three of you?
Not me.
65?
For me, yeah.
So the three of you are working together, and what I'm going to do is Zach is going to roll it, but with a bonus die. So he rolls 2 10s and takes the lowest result.
Ooh.
I take 2 10s and take the lowest?
Yeah,
The 10s or the...
the 10s. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a 0, which is pretty low. Or does that count as
Well,
a
you
10 on
got
this one?
you roll. Roll that. Now just roll up. Just roll it up.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you have?
91!
Yeah. So you had a 90 on the 10s and a 0 on a 10. So you take the 0 plus the other one is 1%. So you've had an extreme
Ooh.
success.
Yeah!
So that's how that works. When it comes to bonus dies, you roll 2 10 dice with the regular D10, and you just take the lowest 10s die.
Okay.
So it made a 91 into a 1%. With this great feat of strength, Amos
I'm a
manages
monster.
to, using a shovel and physics, let's not forget about the physics, use the jack appropriately to raise it up a bit and then push the vehicle off onto solid.
Right, Althea.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Okay.
As everyone is still outside the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I'll just reverse it up a little bit and...
Oh, don't go back in the hole.
Yeah, you're a little bit ahead of the hole right now. If you reverse, you're going to go back.
It's the back tire?
No, it was this tire,
Mm-hmm.
but it was pushed this way.
Oh,
a bit more footing. If
I
you
understand.
try to back up, the ground
you
could
pushed
give
it.
way.
Pushed it forward instead of backward. I
Yeah.
was thinking backward. Okay, yeah, I'll just move the car slightly,
Mhm.
just so I know I can avoid it with the back tires, and then I'll stop so my very lovely and muddy wet friends can get back in.
Wonderful. All right, ladies, get back in the car. I'll pack all this stuff up.
Thank you.
I think you guys are very lucky right now that I know a really good cleaner for the upholstery in here.
While we were outside, did anybody see any landmarks? Could I consult a map?
It was raining quite hard. I was
Basically,
focusing
with
on
the
the
rain,
car.
even outside, you can't really see much. It's just flat farmland as far as you can see, which isn't too far. And it's dark, and the rain is coming down. You do notice, though, off in the distance, lightning brightening up an area a bit further away.
At that point, I'll return into the car with everyone else.
One thing you do notice as everyone returns to the car, of course, is they're all completely covered in mud.
Yes.
Yeah, this is gross. I'm so sorry. This is a lovely car. I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's all right. I know a guy. He's very good. I'll just have him come to the house and clean everything up after we're done. It's not like
Perfect.
there's been no mess in here before. I mean, look what I do for a living on occasion.
What do you
You-
do for a living on occasion?
Never mind. Moving on.
Feel
Don't
like
think
this
about
is
what's
vital information.
don't think about what's on the seats. Don't think about what's been on the seats. All right, and we're on the road
what?
again, and I'm concentrating too hard to answer any questions. Yeah.
At this point, I'd like to interject on who is riding shotgun. Ah, yes.
That was very quick.
That may be a bad vote for you. Maybe not.
Oh no.
As you
it's
start
fine.
a little bit slower down the road, keeping your vision on the road and watching out for the, not potholes, literally holes.
Yeah.
I need you to make a spot hidden roll for me.
Just those
As you're
two?
looking over at...
Specifically, Agatha in the front seat is doing this.
Oh, no. Althea is going to roll a spot hidden.
Ooh.
As she's driving, she just glances over and looks at Agatha. And I just need you to roll a spot hidden for me.
Okay, my spot hidden.
You're in front. You're in shotgun.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, she's no, no.
25%. Lucky for you, this will be my first
Your
success.
spot hidden's
There's
what?
something gross in the mud.
That is definitely 76 is definitely not lower than 25.
We're off to a stupendous start.
Oh, God.
Nobody
As you
can
c-
notice anything.
As you continue driving down the road, it is a great little holiday. I'm going to have to move to you, Agatha, just for a second. As you're driving along and you're thinking and you're looking out around for landmarks, as you said before, you feel a little tickle along your neck.
Oh, God.
That's disgusting.
And as you reach up, you feel something squirm under your finger, and you reflexively whip it off your neck. It seems to be a large centipede with 2 pincers.
Oh God, God, no. Honestly,
So as you're sitting in the vehicle and you're holding this centipede, I'd like you to make me a sanity check.
Ooh, the first sanity check of the game!
It looks quite disgusting and not like anything you've ever seen.
That's a 31. I have a 70.
Yes, you're not really affected by this at all, but you're still sitting there with this centipede that seems to be curling itself in your hand.
Can I throw it out the window?
By all means.
By all means.
Bye.
do you roll down the window first?
Oh yeah, I guess
Yep,
I know.
yeah.
I keep forgetting about that. I rolled down the window while I'm being pelted by rain, and I don't care if I'm getting wet because I want this thing out of the damn car.
God, Agatha, what are you doing? It's already wet and muddy in here enough.
Oh, trust me, you want this away. You really
Want-
do.
At this point, of course, as Agatha had the centipede, would anyone else like to inspect all the mud that's on their bodies?
I quietly and trying to subtly inspect my buddy.
Yes, so anyone who's been outside of the vehicle and in
Yeah.
the mud do notice that there is a variety of different insects.
Oh.
Fairly larger variants.
Stop the car!
than what you're
Stop the
used
car!
to.
Hit
But-
brakes! Brakes!
And
Okay, I'm gonna put the brakes on because putting on the brakes. Oh my God, what is it? What is it? What did you see? What's going?
Stay in the car! Stay in the
You
car!
know how you said don't think about what's on the seats? Yeah, don't think about this now.
Jump out of the car and I just start shaking my
What?
clothes.
I also
What?
jumped out
I
of the car. Yeah.
I'm just gonna be looking at the
Start
three of them,
scraping
going,
things
"Oh
off
dear
and
God!"
things.
And I'm gonna start looking in the back seat and looking like, "What did they put in my car?"
I don't go out of the car. I stay in the car, but I'm like flicking things off of me and throwing them out. Large
I
beetles.
shake out my coat. I empty the hat. I pull the pants out.
I'm
Lord in
clawing
heaven.
at myself to get all of this gunk off. Yeah.
Are the
Yeah.
bugs hiding in the mud, or like, we have to scrape mud off, or just like, yeah, get away from the bugs?
after
get
a
away from
couple
the
of
bugs?
minutes of flailing around and doing the hokey pokey, you manage
That
to,
sounds
from what you can see, to clear off any of the bugs and insects and worm type things that seem to be crawling around.
I'm going
and it just
to-
seems you're covered in mud right now.
I'm going to check my satchel, which I did not bring outside with me. I left it in the car, but I'm just going to check to see that any of the bugs we did not notice didn't crawl in there.
No, you do not notice any bugs in there, but you all sort of notice, with the exception of Althea, who I'm assuming does not have her door open.
No, I'm more worried about what's going on with my upholstery right now, to be honest.
You do
Well, it's
notice,
just muddy.
as you're cleaning everything off, that there is a lot of... It almost looks like the mud is moving.
No.
With
no.
the
Get in the car.
amount
Get in the car. Get in the car.
Of squirming insects and bugs in the soil. But it's weird because they seem to be all different variants. And just...
I
I'm
jump
hopping
back
back
in the
in the car.
and I click my heels together. I stomp on the ground. I try and kill whatever may have crawled up my ankles.
I still have the door open. I'm looking at the mud. Is it more like wormy, or are there legs?
It's mostly wormy, but you do notice centipedes and millipedes and...
While
Things
she's
you can't
staring,
even-
I'm going to slowly reach across her, but like, oh, pardon my reaching, and I grab the door and I close the door.
Have Have you never seen anything like that?
Seen
no,
what?
and
Seen
I'd
what?
rather not
Well,
continue to see it.
Seen what? What did I miss? What did I not see?
No, it was fascinating. There were these large insects, more than I'd ever seen. There were some that resembled cockroaches. There were some that were similar to centipedes, and these worms. Do they have worms this big in the countryside?
Did
I'm
I
just gonna
find one of
turn
these
back and I'm
insects on
gonna
me?
pop open the driver's side door and look out at the mud.
Yes.
I'm not getting out.
As Althea looks out into the mud, you don't notice anything squirming.
Well, that's disappointing.
Motherfuckers! I lean forward and up over her seat. Do I see anything out her door?
Yes, it seems that, Marion, you do notice that there's a lot of squirming worms and insects and such, for sure.
That's fascinating. Do they... forgive me, I've never been this far outside of the city before. Do they normally do that?
Does the mud normally look like mud? Is that what you're asking me? Boston mud looks like mud in most other places. And I close the door. Alright, that was disappointing. Everyone back in the vehicle, please.
Fine.
So we can...
As she notices
Go.
everyone is back in the vehicle.
We're all sitting here ready to go. We don't want to be
Oh.
here anymore.
Moving on.
Please.
Moving on.
Please.
I
And
start writing into my notebook.
And I start the car up and go back to concentrating on the road in front of me.
Stress smoke.
As you start concentrating on the road and you're going along, it's really muddy. And of course, like you said, you're taking your time and you're making sure you can get there safely. But for you other three who are in the vehicle with this mud on you, every now and then you hear the sound of a multitude of insects and chitinous bodies being crushed by the tires of this Packard Twin 6, quite a fine automobile, as it starts heading closer to Swills Gullet.
Hey, Althea, I got a question for you. Does this vehicle have any kind of built-in radio? You got any? None of that, eh?
Radio?
Yeah.
I can try for some radio, sure. And I'll go ahead and turn
if-
it on to
There
whatever
is radio in the car?
It's a,
gets to first.
yes, that would be fine. It doesn't need to be completely accurate, but notice that when you turn on the radio, that it's static. Every channel is static.
Sorry, it looks like we might be a little too far out, even considering, well, we're not really that far out, but we're a little bit too far out for the radio, so I'll flick it off again.
Who'd have thunk it? Swills Gullet with a bunch of disappearing peoples in the middle of nowhere.
So, you drive along a little bit more, and I'm actually going... Yes, as you're driving along, you do notice, trying to be as alert as you can, what appears to be some kind of large shape that seems to be darting out in the road in front of the car. I'm going to let you roll, since you are taking your time and being careful, a drive auto roll with a bonus die.
Do any of the
D10
rest
or
of
the
us see that
percentile?
shape?
The percentile?
Yes, the percentile.
Oh, that's where I was confused earlier. Okay.
So,
2%.
Ooh.
Wow.
it's definitely
Shame.
lower than 40%.
Yes. What is your drive auto skill?
My drive auto is 40%.
Oh my, an extreme success. As you manage to completely slow down and go around, it looks to be a large deer.
Is
See-
it dead?
No, as it darts across from one end of the road and then just runs into the field. You can just see it running off into the distance, into the blackness.
Oh, God. Is everybody okay?
Well, I wish I was a little bit cleaner.
Good driving. I like it.
Althea, are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. Good brakes. I bought this car for a reason, you know. As long as the upholstery can be saved.
Right.
Good.
So what I mean,
with the upholstery.
I gotta ask. This kind of leads into a lot of this drive. We've been pretty quiet. So like, what do you do for a living? Like, why did you afford such a nice fancy car? You apparently use it for work. You say, what is it that you do that can afford such a nice car for your place of employment, but also for your personal needs?
Oh, well, my My father was Gordon Goodyear. So he was a physician and of well reputation in Boston. Anyway, our family is comfortable, shall we say, and it has allowed me to pursue some hobbies such as medicine and forensics, although that field is up and coming. It's very, very, very interesting, but up and coming. And some, occasional coroner work for the police department
Rather-
in Boston or some, the hospital.
Rather intense hobbies, if you don't mind me saying so.
I mean, hobbies. I've got a hobby. It doesn't exactly afford me a nice fancy car.
Well,
You're a coroner that...
The car is more family item than a
And they let you put... I'm assuming what you meant by that is that you carry dead bodies in your car for work. Is that not what goes in your car?
It doesn't have to happen very often.
But it has happened?
Not very often.
But it has happened?
Well, on occasion. And we live in a large city. I mean, terrible things happen in large cities. Sometimes you cannot you cannot help the things that end up in the back of your car on the seats.
Does that mean that you have your own facilities at your own place for such an endeavor?
Perhaps.
Ooh, you and I should talk some more.
Oh, why? Are you interested in forensics?
Well, I'm more interested in the mind, but I've heard that there is a connection between mind and body.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. But I do believe with great, great passion that it is very possible. I mean, look at the times we live in. People's lives are short, miserable at best. If we can extend those lives,
As a clap
our
of
lives...
Conversation for another date, I guess.
I
Are
think
we
I get
almost
over
there?
Are we almost there?
Are we all just going to enjoy the fact that she had corpses in her car? Is this a thing that no one else is worried about? No one else has thought about that?
I appreciate someone who likes to go after their dreams and hobbies.
Then next time you can sit in the back.
So do I. This is excellent. How about I'll take...
I would assume she has a good level of cleanliness considering her hobbies and...
Oh, I think we might almost be there.
Yes, and then, as Althea has succinctly put out, that off in the distance you can see what looks to be in the darkness of the
thank
day,
the Lord.
which is weird. Some ramshackled roof of buildings and a barn off by the side. You believe it's a barn. It's either that or a really large woolly mammoth. It's impossible to tell from this distance. As you start heading into...
Wait, we can't tell the difference between a village and a large woolly mammoth?
I said
It's
by
storming.
the barn off in the distance. You're guessing it's a barn. Yeah, I know.
We all need to go see an optometrist. Or a psychiatrist, one or the other.
You've got one of those.
We've got one of those.
Hey! How's the bugs?
As you pull into... You see a little sign, welcome to, little wooden sign, mostly just 2x4, stuck together on a post. Welcome to Swills Gullet.
Does it have a population count like those old-fashioned towns used to have?
No, this one actually doesn't. The spelling seems a little bit weird, but it's clearly Swills Gullet. But it seems to be spelt SWLSGULET.
They're missing the I?
They're missing a little bit more than that.
The I and one of the L's. Actually, two of the L's. And an apostrophe. They are missing the apostrophe.
There's an apostrophe?
In
That's
Swills
almost how I
Gullet.
spelled it. I almost spelled it exactly how the sign... Oh.
Oh,
Did you spell gullet with only one L?
No, I spelled it with two L's. But I also had an I. Everything else is pretty similar.
wait a minute.
So it's
How is it spelled on the sign? But come on. But
Do you want me to say the spelling from the sign again?
what's
Yes.
The spelling on the sign?
The spelling is SWLSGULET.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides the I between W and L and the extra L in gullet, that was exactly how I spelled it. There's an apostrophe?
well, it's a gullet belonging to Swill.
Oh, I thought of it as one word. This is a Zach thing. Don't worry. Amos is a little bit smarter than me, so we're fine. It's good.
Did you just discover something that is lost to the rest of us?
Zach's pure stupidity.
No, not you.
I don't know about any of you, but isn't it strange that the letters that are missing spells out the word ill?
I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
I feel like it's a thing that a PI probably would have picked up on. Well,
I spelled it
Don't you mean a
phonetically,
P?
so.
Well, I suppose we'll find out if it's strange soon enough.
Well,
As
considering
I'm
all
still
the
slowly
infestation of
driving the
bugs
car
out on
up the road.
Do we see anybody like out and about, or like any shops open, or anything that denotes that this town is lived in currently?
Well, you do notice as you start driving in, and the road sort of sinks down a little bit as it goes into. It seems like the town itself is a little bit lower than the road you're coming in on. You do notice that the rain starts backing off a little. It's still raining, but not the torrential downpour that it was on your way in. You don't really notice very many people milling around. There's a fair number of just ramshackles and stuff, and there's one building off to the side with just a, once again, piece of wood over that just says General Store. This is spelled correctly though, and it just says General Store.
What is the first impression of the people that we do see?
Well, you haven't seen anyone just yet, but your first impression of the town itself is this town is falling apart.
It's decrepit.
It's decrepit.
Let's check at the store, see if we can see anyone. Chances are anyone who's out and about would rush to wherever they're going in this rain.
They may possibly also know the last known sighting of Agent Jones.
Well, this place isn't very big. I imagine we would hopefully find out where he's been here in short order. I'll pull up as close as I can. The rain's gotten better, but it would still be, this is disgusting. I don't like it.
You find this disgusting?
Did the Center of Antiquities set us up with lodgings here, or was that up to ourselves to take care of us ourselves?
That's up to us.
Okay.
Presumably there's a hotel or a boarding house in town.
Right.
And if not,
I've got to pose this question, just to get it off my mind. What's a Center of Antiquities got to do with a missing person investigating missing persons? Was there some kind of antique to the area that they're looking to collect that's of immense importance? Is there anything that we know about why Jones was here?
Yes, so as far as all of your characters know, maybe with a little bit of the exception to Marion, the New England Center of Antiquities is basically a small museum that collect different pieces and artworks and stuff and display them. But in your lines of work over the last little while, they've been putting money toward a stronger, better police force, money toward programs to help people and becoming really philanthropists in the region. And part of this, over the last couple of years, has been supporting private investigators, such as yourself, Amos, and other such people who are investigating different things. All they really ask for in return, or from what you've figured out by correspondence, is that anything interesting that you find would go to their museum.
That makes sense to me. I feel like we just had a flashback. That's kind of cool. I just figured I'd pose the question. I thought it was interesting.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to go into that general store and see what's up.
We'll go with you.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah. I'll make sure the car is parked and get myself a rain jacket and some boots out of my trunk.
Oh, I got a coat and hat all the time. I'm fine.
fair enough. So you're all standing outside. One of the things, of course, I'm going to mention is Alfie, although it's just foolishness, all the bugs they saw, there's no way that could have possibly been real. As the three of you hop out into the mud in town, you don't see any bugs or anything really out of the ordinary.
Well, that's a relief.
Mm-hmm. You do notice, though, that even though it's caked on a little bit more, the mud that's still on you, because it's impossible to get all the mud off when you're on the road, seems to be of a dark reddish color. While the mud in town here just seems to be dirt brown color. It seems to be this dark red.
And that's
This
what's on
mud
our
that-
clothes?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
We
that
must
dried up.
have stepped into like a clay deposit or something. Maybe that's an explanation of how big those bugs were. The nutrients.
Well, they put the road through an old. Well, maybe they just replotted used a different soil to replot the road.
Well, I know the area was used for a lot of brick making and stuff, but either or, let's go into the general store and talk to some of these locals about this odd weather.
Right.
I basically rush in.
Okay.
I'll head on in.
I'll head inside.
You all rush into the general store.
I bring my book bag with me.
Fair
You
enough.
seem very excited about this book bag.
It's got all my notebooks in it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
As you all run into the general store, luckily I'm not going to be that bad and say that the door was locked and the first person goes head first. And you all three stooge it,
I'm cool with that.
but
That's Three
the
Stooges,
door actually swings in and you walk in, and it's very similar to any general store you've ever seen. The older style, privately owned, with stuff hanging from the ceilings and stuff like that. You do notice that this place seems to be quite the mess. There's piles of stuff sort of everywhere.
So one might akin it to the Fort McMurray Walmart.
It's
Or any Walmart.
Oh, I don't know
it's
about
actually
that.
seems to be like this place has been maybe looted a little.
Oh,
It looks like there's stuff knocked over, piles of stuff, rope. Although the weird thing is, as you're looking around, it doesn't look like there's anything super useful here. A lot of farming implements, a hoe, stuff like that. As you look over at the counter, though, you do see your first signs of life. And it seems to be a gentleman, probably in his mid-40s. It's hard to tell with all the dirt that's all over him, and he's crusty. Hair off on all angles. Just sort of think of, Doc Brown from Back to the Future. That sort of look.
me.
that sort of look to him. He's wearing a pair of coveralls, which are also faded and dirty. He seems to be clean shaven though, like he is.
Yeah, well kept.
He seems to be a little bit well kept. And he's sort of glaring over it, and he's like,
I'll
"What can I do for you?"
Good day, sir. I was wondering if you could help us.
Okay, what you need, ducky?
Wow.
I was wondering, have you ever encountered a gentleman named Barnabus Jones?
Oh, Barnabas.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
he showed up here. Jeez, boy. Night before last, or 3 nights ago, 2 nights ago, or 3 nights ago. I'm not entirely sure. He was a nice-looking young fella. I gotta say that. Although he came in with this young kid. Oh, I can't say really kid. Oh, got the look from the war. Got the look from the war in him. And there was another fella with him, a little bit bigger, and faced like a half-chewed crabapple. I don't know what happened to the poor man, but it wasn't good. Like somebody cheese grated his face. I told him as much, but he wasn't one for talking.
I probably wouldn't be one for talking either if someone told me I looked like I got my face cheese grated.
Do you happen to know the names of these two fellows?
Well, they didn't really do much talking, but Barnabas seemed to be the talker of the group. As he came in, he was wondering about one of the old farmsteads off a little bit outside of town.
Whose farmstead?
It was a Corbett. I'm pretty sure his name was Corbett. A Corbett farmstead. Although I told him he shouldn't go out there. That place is haunted by.
Haunted.
Yes, it's haunted. I mean, we've been saying that since, I was a kid. Nobody really goes out there if they can help it.
Care to inform us of any of these mysterious stories about these hauntings? I mean, if we're passing through, but we're planning on staying here for a bit due to the storm. I figured it'd be good to know what we should be avoiding. What kind of horror stories are we talking about here?
Well, it's cursed, you might say. Like none of the land around it, nothing will grow. Nothing will grow on it. It's cursed.
Awkward.
I mean, it's bad enough having the farmland the last couple of years that we can't grow anything on, and now we got to look at. But that place, you'd never grow anything on it. It seems to have really good soil, though. The worms really take to it, but it doesn't. We can't get nothing to grow there.
Well, you said
I mean, there's
Barnabas-
always weird lights and noises coming from out there. Probably just some animals finding something up there or something.
Right. You said Barnabas was staying out there.
Oh no, he was he was inquiring about it. He wanted
Oh.
to know where it was. There's something he needed to go up there to check something out. And I warned him. I did, but him and the other two fellas went up in a Studebaker. Never seen one of them around these here parts.
Huh.
But they, that very night the storm kicked in.
So the last time you saw Mr. Jones, he was headed up towards this farm, the Corbett farmstead,
Yes.
with a couple of gentlemen. That was the last you ever seen of him.
That's what I said, boy.
Oh, but that was the first you'd seen of him too.
That was the first I seen of him. He was just curious. He was a nice fella. He gave me a little bit of extra money there for the information, which is always nice and appreciated.
That makes a lot of sense to me. What's been going on with your store? You having some troubles with some people?
Yes, but I don't know much about that now.
Psychology check.
Sure. By all means, Amos, roll the psychology check.
Jesus Christ, that was creepy. That is not a success.
I also make a psychology check.
Sure. If yes, by all means, go right ahead.
That is not a success.
Oh no, that was no.
Would anyone else like to make a psychology check for his sudden
Sure,
turn in
if
attitude? By all means, every the other two
Yeah, if we're
players
doing
can
this
as well.
anyways.
Oh god.
I personally am not going to bother with psychology check.
Nope.
I really want the last player to roll one as well, because it would be hilarious if you all failed.
I'm already convinced that he is not of his right mind, considering what kind of person thinks a house is haunted and a land cursed. I mean, seriously. It's
Oh, I don't
obviously
buy that
bad
either.
soil.
I'm worried about a sudden turn of.
That is 4 fails on that psychology check.
Welcome to
He
Cthulhu.
seems to be clamming up a little, like he's sort of looking at you a little bit.
Are there any surviving members of the Corbett family?
Well, I'm not too sure. Sometimes I feel I'm not as really straightforward as I could be. And
As
what
she's
I'll-
asking
at this-
questions, I'm gonna actually start fanning out a couple of bucks as I plan to buy a couple of items.
and as you fan out the couple of dollars, he reaches out to take the couple of dollars.
Well, I haven't put them down yet. I'm looking through some stuff on the thing here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he says, maybe just I'm not as blunt. Maybe I was not as blunt as I could have been. But the other fella, Barnabus Jones, gave me money for information.
I
Right,
nudge
okay,
Amos and I
okay,
look
so now-
significantly
so,
at
like I
his
said,
money.
And he's
So
sort of...
I'll finish what I was doing there then. So, as the most recent question kind of concludes, I'll kind of ask him, how much for the pack of smokes that's back there?
Oh yes. Well, that should be... shouldn't be much at all for a man like you.
How much for a pack of smokes?
And I'll just approach.
Okay, let's put it this way. However much the pack of smokes are, I will put down more than it is worth.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah, that's the idea. I'll put down
Fair enough.
a couple bucks more than it's worth. And can I roll a persuasion check on that?
To persuade him to be a little bit more... It'd be more of a charm.
More of a charm
It'd be more
check?
of a charm
Oh.
skill. Because
Well,
you're not persuading him,
it would
you're
be charming.
charming him.
All right, I'll try
But
that.
roll a charm. Go right ahead.
This might make the questions easier, but my charm is not very high. Ooh, that's a success. 12 out of 15.
Oh, I would like you to put a tick
Ticked.
next to
Not
your
that one.
charm skill, and at the end of the game, of
Perfect.
course, there's a chance for that charm skill to increase.
God,
Good
I'm
job.
charming.
Good job.
Okay, so yeah, I'll throw down more dollars than the pack of smokes is worth and see if that lightens his mood.
Are you the only one so far who's made a successful check?
she-
No, the drive auto as well.
Okay, I was gonna say,
The drive
I was like,
auto
oh.
as well.
I got a horseshoe up my backside.
But he's like, oh yes,
But,
yes. Sir.
but you've never spotted anything.
What
hidden.
else were you inquiring about? And he looks at all of you quite happily.
And before anybody else asks any
Say that-
questions, I'll just approach. I'll put my hand on Amos's shoulder for a second and said, "Just one moment. I'll help you out here." And I'll walk up and I'll pull out a money roll, and I'll take a few bills off it and I'll put down an exorbitant amount of money for this man.
So like $5.
Oh my god.
Let's make it 10, just so it's
Oh
interesting.
my!
Oh, the prestige.
And I'll
like
put it on
in
the
a
counter and
day.
say, "Here you go, my friend. It's we are on a bit of a time crunch, and we'd be very interested to know anything that you could tell us about Mr. Jones and his friends, and about this farmstead that they've gone to. So if this will help you out in any sort of way, feel free to let us know what you know, and then we can be on
Wow.
our way. The weather's probably not going to get better."
Yes. He sort of looks a little bit dumbfounded as he looks down at, for him, is quite a lot of money. And he looks up, and the money you've already given him, and charmed him to boot, my friend Amos.
I'm charming.
And he sort of looks at all of you, and he reaches out and he snakes the money into his hand, and stuffs it into his coveralls. And he's like, "Oh my, I'll give you all the information. Okay, so this is exactly what I knows.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so him and
No pad out.
and the bald egg faced fella and the young kid, they went up there to the Corbett place, the cursed place, and there's a big storm, and I think I saw off in the distance that there was a fire up there. He can some smoke or stuff before the storm started, and
Before the storm started, but once they had gotten there, or after? They
I don't
left
know
here?
if it's when they got there, but it was that night. They left that day to go up there, and that night the storm started. And then it was early on in the morning I heard a noise, and when I looked out the window, I noticed a Studebaker driving back through town. But the funny thing was, only the half-chewed caramel-faced guy was driving back. I didn't see anyone else. And he was taken off like a bat out of hell. Pardon my French. I don't think it was French.
No, that
Sorry.
was most certainly some vulgar English, sir. But I
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting.
But the storm has been going the last couple of days. The storm's been going pretty strong.
hasn't
So we
let
have
up at all?
nobody's been able to go up there to take a look. Not that anybody would. The weird thing is, I haven't really seen very many people around lately.
I was just gonna say, no one else has come through town since then, eh?
No, I haven't even really seen very many townsfolk around. I just usually sticks to myself in the store. Oh, and you mentioned about this place being beat up. I heard this big crashing noise last night when I was upstairs in bed. And when I came down, the place was just, the door was wide open and the stuff was taken and everything.
This was last night.
This was last night.
Last night. someone
Any
came
specific
and ransacked the place.
sort of things that were taken, or just...
I think it's mostly all still here. It was just a little bit beat up.
Wait, so no one took any items? They just destroyed the place.
That's what it seemed like to me. I didn't really see anything out of the ordinary. But to be honest, I don't really keep a strict stock, you know.
That's fair.
Can I roll something to see if I notice? I don't know if I would notice, but a place where something should be that isn't.
Ooh, I would get you to roll a spot hidden.
Nice.
Yes, that's a nice suggestion.
40. No, it's a 46 out of 25, so I do not pass that.
No, you don't seem to really notice much out of the ordinary. They're like a spot where something would be missing.
Could I make that same roll?
Oh, by all means.
That's a 22. I have a 40 in spot hidden.
Boom!
Put a little tick next to spot hidden on a successful
thanks.
spot hidden roll. You do notice that on the shelf off to the side, there seems to be one little blank spot, and there's some pots and china that's there. So one shelf that's not knocked over. This is what you notice. There's one shelf that's not knocked. I keep talking like him, and I'm sorry. Let me get. You look over, and you see the guy who has no name since nobody asked it. So you do notice this one shelf that's got china that has been knocked over, and there's a blank spot, a void near the top.
So can you tell me about the china that's on the wall?
Oh yes, fanciest china that you can get from Boston. I has to say, it's really good stuff.
There seems to be a piece missing.
Oh. Maybe something is. Oh, I mean, it wasn't really china there. It was sort of like a little tiny, like a little box. One of the guys said he found it in the mine a few years past. There's a little tiny box that
mine?
had pictures on it.
There's a mine nearby?
Well, yes, it's around a mile or so west of here. Yes, there was a mine, but some guy said he found it in there.
Well, pictures of what?
No, it was it was just this weird wooden box. Nobody could really get it open. It was one of those little Chinese puzzle boxes, I guess. And it had like pictures on it, like emblazoned into it.
Huh.
I don't know the word emblazoned. I would probably say burnt.
Oh my god! Wow. I'll kind of, I'll rummage through my coat and I'll take out my camera and a card. I looked at him and be like, do you mind if I take a couple of pictures of the shelf in question, the missing piece? I'm a detective from the bigger city there, and I might be able to help you find your missing things. Just as a favor for being so nice and gracing us with your service and your information.
And he sticks out his chest, quite proud, and is like, "Pictures of my humble store. By all means, sir. By all means."
Well, and I put the card down. It's got my name's Amos. Yeah, your name, sir?
Oh yes, Skeet. People around here call me Skeet. Skeet Wilson Bottom.
Skeet Wilson Bob.
Skeet Wilson Bottom.
Pleasure to meet you, Skeet.
Not a problem. Spits in his hand and he just holds it
for
at you.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Yeah. You could tell that he sort of looks at you like a brother now.
Aww.
Well,
He's quite impressed.
I'll take a couple of pictures of your lovely establishment, and I'll do some looking into it. If you happen to see anything about Mr. Jones there coming through town or anything like that, feel free to let us know. I'm not sure. Is there any lodgings in town that you'd recommend?
I suppose you could go stay in a barn. We not fancy folk. We don't have inns or nothing.
Oh, we were really awesome and you were very helpful in letting us know which barn not to visit. Is there a barn that you would recommend that we go to? And
someone have a spare room, maybe.
Well,
that we could let?
I have a couple of spare rooms upstairs if you want to take those, but I've only got 2. But to be fair, you've already seemed to pay for lodgings. Eh?
I'll let you 3 discuss that while I take pictures.
I can stay in the car if maybe.
I can share
I'm
lodgings
not really
with
sure
someone.
I want to leave it alone overnight. I'm sorry, what?
I can share lodgings with someone.
I don't
A
mind.
room.
All right. Well, if you would be so kind, we are more than willing to offer some assistance. And if you were all right with us borrowing a couple of your rooms, that would be fantastic.
Oh yes. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. When would you like to be turned them in? Being late afternoon and all.
Going on until later this evening, I hope.
Oh yes. Okay. Fair enough.
And I'll go take some pictures.
While he's taking pictures, one last question. Who was the person who found the box?
Oh, that was Montgomery. Now that's... Oh, God, that must be 10, 15 years past now.
Is he still a resident?
Well, I suppose you could look at it that way.
How does that mean?
Well, he's dead, so he's buried in the graveyard.
Thank you.
Yes, it was weird. Big rock fell on him. Big rock fell on him.
Was he a miner?
Well, he was, but it didn't happen in the mine. Weirdest thing. He was out by his house, and, well, one evening somebody was going by, and they noticed that there was a big effing rock on him.
Where's his house?
Wow.
Well, his house was torn down a few years ago.
Yes, but was it near a cliff?
No, it's out by the Corbett farmstead out there. It's one of the next farmstead over. Yes, big old rock. Don't know how that got there.
That is mysterious.
Mysterious rocks it is.
I'm assuming the mines aren't still in operation. Are they?
Oh, God, no. That's too dangerous.
What happened?
Well, we get a lot of water here the last, 10 years, 5 to 10 years, a lot of water. And it runs down there, and it just makes it horrible. It just makes it rough.
So drowned out.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going to check out the mines now.
That's fair.
I wouldn't want to put any of you ladies or fella in trouble.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, we like to think that most of the disappeared people, the disappearers, the vanishers, that they must have went in the mine looking for, gold or something.
How often do people disappear?
Oh, well, I suppose there's around 40 people in town now.
40?
And I suppose, a lot of it could be people leaving and moving away, although I've never seen anyone sort of move away, but people move away from places. But we used to have a population of, 100, 110, 10 years ago.
That's significant.
Yes, well, the farm's dying, Got to make her money, peddling information, I suppose, you know what I mean?
That's what it is.
Kind of
Do
wave
what
from
you
behind
can.
one of the aisles.
Yes.
You're supposed to do what you can. What were they mining for?
Oh, it was supposed to be like gemstones or something. Oh, I'm not rightfully sure. I do know that some guys got some gold out of it. They found some gold down there, and everyone kept going down there. And I mean, there was a few accidents where people couldn't get up, and this caved in and that caved in, and I mean,
It's a dangerous business, mining.
yeah, in some areas they would cave in on the ground and make these dips. Well, actually, to be fair, the town's built in one.
Really?
Yes, the mine used to run underneath the town. If you notice coming in the road, where the road went down over a hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where this is sort of built to.
Oh, that is fascinating.
Skeet, right? Skeet.
Yes, ma'am.
Was your friend, acquaintance, who found this box at the mine?
Oh, he wasn't really a friend.
Acquaintance?
Yeah,
Neighbor?
I suppose I know him.
Neighbor?
Yeah.
Was
He had a nice face.
was he buried in a local cemetery?
Yes, we have a local cemetery, sorta. It's wherever we pretty much drags the bodies as far as we wants to carry them, and we sort of dig a hole and stuff them in. So they're around places.
You don't give them a Christian
That's-
burial?
Christian burial. Well, I mean, for the resurrection and such. No.
That's okay. For our purposes, proper burials aren't necessarily. Anyway,
No, but we buries them. That's Christian.
is
So good for their souls.
But we buries them. That's what the church tells us.
you said
When we
his
had one.
his home
When
was
you had one.
Yes, we don't have a church no more. She exploded.
Exploded? What on earth happened to your church?
Oh, we figured out at the mine some kind of vent or gas got up into it, and old Father Tolk, he was a killer on a pipe, and we're supposed to that one of these days. Old Father Tolk, one of these days he was lighting up his pipe, and boom, she went. Went right across town.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's what we call the holy hand grenade.
Actually, if you looked at the road sign that came in, that's where the cross stuck in, and then we burnt into it. Welcome to Swills, Gullet.
You did that to a...
Well, I didn't do it. Well, I mean, come on now. It's nothing healthier than a nice church to welcome people into town, and that's all that was left, so that's all I have to do.
I suppose.
This town is charming.
Resourceful.
It's a pretty good place to live, though, except for the curses and the big rocks and the churches exploding and stuff. It's not bad at all.
Is that big rock still out near his homestead, or where it was?
Well, I mean, we can only take the pieces that weren't under the rock, of course, so the rock's still there.
Perfect. I mean,
I didn't mean the animals probably got at it or whatever. The worms can be quite vicious, let me tell you.
Worms can be vicious.
and you said
Well, I mean, whatever they are.
you said his home was on the edge or outskirts of this corporate farmstead.
Well, it's the next farmstead over, my dear ma'am.
So is Corbett closer?
Though, I guess they're around the same distance from town, really.
I feel like maybe that's going to be our first...
How far of a drive?
To the Corbett's?
To
it's
the
a ro-
Montgomery farm, let's say.
Oh, the Montgomery. I wouldn't really recommend driving. The road's pretty bad.
How
but if
long
you're
by
careful-
foot?
By foot? I don't know. Hour. I'd say an hour. It's a little bit of a walk because you got to walk out of the dip, right?
How's the weather?
We've been sitting for a while.
I don't know. I haven't been outdoors in the last little bit.
Looks out the window. It's raining. It's not
You
pleasant.
do notice that the rain has died off somewhat.
It's
so
raining
now
less.
it's more
It's
drizzly.
pleasant.
It's more drizzly, if you want to put it that way. I got to stop talking like him.
It's not gonna
I don't know if you can. It's not
happen.
probably
No,
not
This
possible.
is now who Derek is. Derek
Perfect
is now.
walking weather.
I'll go with you if you want to inspect.
Oh,
Sorry, what was his-
definitely.
what was his
I
name again?
always want to inspect.
Skeet Wilson Bottom. That's me name, buddy. Don't forget it. It's hard to forget, though. Now, if only I could spell it.
Now, Wilson Bottom or Wilson Bob?
Wilson Bottom. Like Bottomborough in England.
Is there a place in town where people usually gather?
Oh,
Like a
Town hall?
like a town hall or a restaurant or a pub?
most of that, we mostly just... We got the general store here, and... I mean, sometimes Ma Kent, she rents some rooms out to people as well, but I mean, you're already staying with me.
Oh, of
But
course,
I mean,
yes. But if
I gotta be fair, we don't have much services here, you see. We're just mostly people just drives out for the day, sees how crappy it is, and leaves.
we can't at the moment. It's just due to the storm.
Yeah, just other than the store here, I mean,
What
I
do you
suppose
do on Sundays if you don't have a church anymore?
well, we usually pray to ourselves, about our plight.
Sleep in, perhaps.
On Sundays? Surely not.
Do real life stuff like anything else?
I
Do
mean,
you not worry about your immortal soul?
I mostly worry about my dead
really
one.
Long question.
How about we go look at that farm? Shall
Let's start
we?
with the
I
rock.
think that man's dead soul's an excellent place to start.
That's a great
Wow.
way to start.
Wow.
Do we need to
Alright.
get something from your car?
This is
Medical
one heck of a job.
supplies.
We can go and see what I've got in there.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Skeet.
Go ahead.
I apologize. We
so
see you in a bit.
Skeet looks at you and says, "Oh, okay. Well, this is how you get to the Montgomery farm." And he gives you sort of the trail and road you have to take,
Yep.
and sort of gives you a little bit of a weird, awkward bow. I suppose you.
Tip the hat.
Yeah. Thanks for coming into the store. I'll have those rooms all. I suppose I'll have sheets on them or something. There
Thank
you go.
you. And we greatly enjoyed hearing stories of your town from you. And if you have any others, we'd love to hear them.
Well, it ain't as fancy as Boston,
Well,
but
it has its charms.
No, that's all I was going to say.
Okay.
Anyway, you have a nice trip out there now. Montgomery isn't as cursed as Corbett, but it's still pretty shady. And then he turns around and walks.
And Skeet. And I'll take out another $5 bill and I'll put it down and say, to keep an eye on the car while we're gone. Thumbs up. Right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll keep both of them on it.
Oh my.
As he stuffs it into his coveralls.
Wonderful. All right. We're on an adventure. Okay.
Thank you for listening to this Twisted Gear Studios production. Our next episode of The Call will air Tuesday, November 6th. Tuesday, October 30th is the next episode of Spacers, our Starfinder podcast. And this Friday, October 26th, is the next episode of our collaboration podcast with MacGuffin Media, The Legend of Zingdong. The game system used today was Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition by Chaosium. Music in this episode was licensed through Video Copilot. Sound effects and ambient tracks licensed through Triune Films and Video Copilot. For up-to-date content, please subscribe to the Twisted Gear Studios YouTube channel, and you can find us, Twisted Gear Studios, on Facebook and SoundCloud, as well as Twitter and Instagram at The Twisted Gear. Your players this evening were Janessa Coles, Lindsay Delansky, Zach Barrett, and Elizabeth Wells. Your audio operator tonight was Rob Hickey, and your GM, or Keeper, this evening was Derek Snow. If you are in the Fort McMurray area, you can find me, Zach Barrett, at Tavern on Main every Monday at 7:30 p.m. for trivia. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time.